This is how your body will change once you start your calisthenics journey. A video that I'll be reviewing from Yellow Dude, where he talks about the changes that calisthenics does to one's body. And coming from a guy who trains calisthenics for the last 6 years, I'm interested in seeing if what he mentions relates to my experience. So let me stop yapping and let's get right into it.
In this video, we're diving deep into the transformative power of calisthenics, focusing on the key muscle groups you'll be training and the incredible changes you can anticipate in your body. Let's start with the shoulders. The 3D effect you can achieve with calisthenics is phenomenal. Exercises like handstands and planche push-ups work to broaden and strengthen your deltoids, giving you that coveted 3D look.
Okay, so the first point that he mentions is the effect that calisthenics has on our shoulders. Something that I can definitely agree with, as I noticed that was the first thing that really stood out compared to the rest of my muscle groups in my physique, and things that people even pointed out to me too before I even realized it, to be honest. But in terms of how much muscle will grow in your shoulders specifically, will be in the anterior and also the posterior delts. Unfortunately, your medial or lateral delts is going to be neglected. So you're not going to be getting the most widest shoulders from doing only calisthenics. But I will say this, it's important to just understand these limitations and really seek positive workarounds to just bring up your overall training experience and your physique, of course. Such as in my example, I would train everything under the umbrella for progressing towards the handstand push-ups and weighted dips as my primary movement that mainly targets the anterior delts. Additionally, training the inverted rows with a wider hand placement and weighted pull-ups are really what grew my posterior delts. So if you have the same exercise layout within your calisthenic based movements, then I highly recommend you to start implementing the ring Y raises, or some people like to call it the ring lateral raises. Now this exercise is definitely going to be targeting directly to your lateral or medial head of your shoulders. Now, of course, if you don't have access to rings and you want to still be able to build your shoulders equally and proportionally, then you can start just doing anything with a dumbbell, cable machine to do a lateral raise. It'll be the same movement, same muscle groups being targeted. It'll just be a different exercise. And this time it won't be calisthenics, but at the end of the day, you're still trying to find workarounds to the limitation of training your medial head. Now, my personal variant is to have my chest supported on a bench to minimize momentum, which will help isolate the medial delts even further and by default increase the difficulty. So be ready to lower those weights, like no cap.
Next, your lats. These large muscles in your back will become more pronounced as you master pull-ups and muscle-ups, creating a wide and strong upper body.
My boy literally just breezed right past this section and went on to the next part. But I want to kind of just talk about the back, the lats, as he likes to say, and explain how really beneficial calisthenics is when it comes to growing your lats. But anyways, he does mention that training the pull-ups will be the sole center around building one's lats. So let me just provide more insight. That is, this is consistent with both the neutral and supinated hand positions. Now, if you want to know the differences between the movement in detail, then I highly recommend you to watch my video about what's more suitable for one to train, the pull-ups or chin-ups, with a bunch of scenarios and examples to provide better context. Now, with that being said, whether or not you're doing the pull-ups, the neutral grip pull-ups, or the chin-ups, you need to understand that if you have the intention of retracting your scapula when starting the pull-ups, whatever variation you might use, this will then immediately shift the muscle activation more so towards the back and thus minimize the extra activation on the muscles within the forearms or the biceps. So I know most people, when they're doing pull-ups, they feel like they're not working their back. And that's really because they're just not activating their scapula. You know, they're not doing scapular retraction. So that's going to by default not allow you to feel the muscles being worked on your back and more so on your arms. But I will say it's important to know that it's okay if you naturally lose that retraction on the body once you kind of get to the top portion of the pull-up, or once you kind of go towards the end of the set. It's just a natural way for the body to adjust to the intensity of the exercise. Now, I will say that it's not the same as being shrugged up or your shoulders being elevated like so. that's going to be more so of a sign showing you are weak in your scapular retraction. So if you have like a little pronated or a scapular protracted type of shoulder look, then that's going to be okay, man. That's just a natural way of your body adjusting to the difficulty of the intensity, especially as you progress on towards the end of the set. You're doing heavy loads, you're doing a lot of repetitions. It's fine to lose that full scapular retraction. Now, with that being said, I don't think I need to mention this, but once you get to a point of doing like easily 10 reps for 3 to 4 sets on the pull-ups, then the next stage is to do weighted pull-ups. And with me personally, I've noticed a whole lot of gains from doing weighted pull-ups on my back. It literally just skyrocketed my width. It made my strength go up like crazy. So yeah, start doing weighted pull-ups if you're not doing it already. But I feel like those who watch this channel kind of already do weighted pull-ups, or they're aware of weighted pull-ups. Now, I do want to mention that you also need to train your horizontal pulls, such as the inverted rows that I mentioned. This will allow for a more balanced approach in terms of your strength and physique. Plus, if we're being honest, if you're doing weighted pull-ups and inverted rows, there's no need for you to be doing muscle-ups, to be honest. This is not going to be productive for building muscle on your back compared to the weighted pull-ups and inverted rows. So yeah, don't do muscle-ups if you're out here trying to solely build your back. I will say it will indirectly build your back, but it's not going to be the most bang for your buck exercise compared to the weighted pull-ups and especially the inverted rows to get the thickness in your back.
Calisthenics exercises like push-ups and dips will help you develop a chiseled and well-defined chest. Your core will also transform. Not only will you build a strong and functional core, but you'll also see more definition in your abs as you progress with exercises like the front lever and planks.
All right, so my boy literally just flew right past 2 major muscle groups, the chest and the core. Not a problem, but this is why I'm here, to just kind of give more clarity and insights in regards to this video. So let's start off with the chest. I definitely like what I heard. Using both the dips and more specifically a horizontal pressing movement pattern for the push-ups will, without a shadow of a doubt, develop your chest as the primary mover. Now your shoulders and triceps will be indirectly targeted with either exercises, but let's not deviate from the video's format. Now, from my personal experience, I noticed that since I trained the weighted dips, which is an exercise that will hit your lower pecs, you want to take that into consideration and begin to choose a push-up variation that will specifically hit more of the upper pecs. Now, this could be done by decline push-ups or my favorite, the ring fly push-ups. And the reason why I'm providing these examples is that this is coming from a bodybuilder workout structure lens if one truly cares about maximizing their aesthetics with calisthenics. I will say this though, you would definitely need to be careful with the amount of volume you allocate towards your pressing based movements, because if we're training the dips, the handstand push-up progressions, and the ring fly push-ups with 3 sets, that's going to be 9 total sets in one session allocated for your pressing based movements. Now, if you did these 2 times per week, you would get a total of 18 sets for the week, and the recommended range for weekly total sets per muscle group is anywhere between 15 to 20 sets, which is honestly the higher end of the spectrum if you're taking into account that you're training with relatively high intensities during each session for each set. And this is like honestly one of the biggest mistakes and most common mistakes that I find a lot of you guys, not you particularly, just you in general, make when it comes to just training and going about your workout plan. So just understand that that's something that you definitely want to take into account, knowing how to manage your intensities and knowing how to efficiently recover from your previous session. Now, if you want to eliminate the decision-making process and stress of knowing how to restructure your entire workout plan, I'm actually hosting free consultation calls where you can pretty much just ask me any kind of questions that you have and walk me through your training, explain to me what goals you have with calisthenics, and I'll be able to help pinpoint exactly what areas needs to be improved. This is all to help reach your goals. So if you're interested, be sure to click the link in the description or check the pinned comments. Okay, so moving on to the core, it's no doubt that one's core will get insanely strong with calisthenics. I mean, let's be real here. With calisthenics, you're using your core in legit every exercise each way, whether it's for your skill training, such as the handstands, front levers, or planche, or the dynamic strength and hypertrophy work, such as the dips, pull-ups, or rows. Now, the original creator mentions planks. I think that's funny because it's right beside his other recommendation, the full front lever. But I think a more appropriate side-by-side example or comparison is going to be the full planche. So yeah, if you're in the process of training either of these two movements, just know your core will be top tier, like no cap.
Onto your arms. Exercises like dips and pelican curls are excellent for building bicep and tricep strength.
Bro, it's crazy how short his points are. Like, this has to be just a style of creating for him, because there's no way my boy is going through a whole segment like arms. That's like everybody's favorite muscle group to train, and just literally like 10 seconds? Not even, bruh. Anyways, shout out the creator for including pelican curls. I think this is actually a great exercise to be specific for training your biceps, pertaining to the long head of the biceps. Now, I also do want to include with the pelican curls that if you want to take advantage of building your biceps fully, long head, short head, then I recommend you to start incorporating the chin-ups as the compound nature of training your biceps, as this will definitely target both the long and short head of the biceps because of the way your arms are positioned. You're getting a full range of motion, the stretch on the biceps. And additionally, it has the most overloading potential because you can pretty much start doing weighted chin-ups, right? But I do explain this all in detail in my video. I tried this bicep routine and this happened. Now, similar to my recommendations with training the biceps with a compound movement such as the chin-ups, the original creator here mentions that it's important to include the dips to train your triceps, which I definitely do agree with that point, but to a certain extent. Now, what he says is true, don't get me wrong. However, the limitation of the dips is that it primarily activates the short and medial heads of the triceps. The long head of the triceps just isn't as engaged compared to the others. So again, if your goal is to maximize your aesthetics with calisthenics, it's important to look into the details of your exercises, such as which muscle groups are primarily and secondarily engaged. So a more suitable candidate is to train the bodyweight overhead tricep extensions with either the bar or gymnastic rings. Now, why this exercise specifically? It's simple really. The main function of the triceps is to extend at the elbows. That's what dictates the triceps as a pressing based muscle. But more specific to the long head of the triceps, the main function of this is to stabilize the shoulder joint through adduction and extend at the elbow through extension. Now, as the long head of the triceps origin is right underneath the socket of the shoulder, this is going to be important to know because if you raise your elbows up, you'll notice an immediate and specific stretch on the long head of the triceps, which is why I chose the overhead tricep extensions as a go-to exercise to specifically target the long head of the triceps. Now, I will say this though, you don't need your elbows to be over your head. That's not the only requirement to specifically target the long head of your triceps, but rather you need your triceps to go through adduction for a full extension, which includes the process of literally bringing your arms down from your shoulders down to the side of your body, or even better, past your body, which is again the main function of the long head of the triceps: elbow extension and shoulder adduction. Now, this can be done with tricep pushdowns with a dual rope attachment or a single hand attachment as well. I actually like to utilize both. Now, this allows you to go all the way to the sides of your body through adduction and allows you to get that full extension behind your body as well for more range of motion for your long heads to be fully activated. This will give the motion of shoulder adduction and elbow extension, which are two requirements for specifically targeting the long head of your triceps. But hey, what do I know? If you want to see more content like this, be sure to follow me, man. I'm the Tough Fitness Scout here. No cap.
Cobra trains. He's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's number one out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.